Everyone, this video is to cover how to make an OBJ to a Desmos readable file format type converter. The poll promised that this will be done using an Electron framework, which is a framework for building desktop applications. If you look at the setup guide for Electron, which I will provide a link for in the description, you will find that the underlying part of it is in HTML. It's a web application made into a desktop application, and so um, so I find it fitting to give you a walkthrough how to make an HTML page, uh, so that it will cover those who are interested in making this as a web application. And at the same time, if you want to dive right into the Electron piece of it, you will also be able to follow along without any issues. If you get stuck, leave a comment and I will show you how to port this into Electron. It shouldn't be anything more than a straight copy and paste. Alright, with that out of the way, I am currently on Replit.com. So this is an online IDE. It will also run your applications that you make. When you first log in, you'll be asked to either create an account, or if you have one already, you can just log right in. However, you're not required to follow along on here. If you want to use just your own text editor, you'll be able to follow along fine. I will include some IDEs in the description, which I recommend. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new web page. I want to call it OBJ Converter. Yeah, better. Desmos, you can call it whichever you want. You can name it my awesome project. It'll work just fine. And one of the benefits with this website is not only free, but also you also get a domain with it. And of course, when you do hit the run button, it gives you that default hello world. Alright, we're going to be leveraging all three pieces of here, HTML being the template or like the skeleton rather of the contents of what's on here. Script.js if there are any dynamic changes that you need to make on here. We'll definitely be using this, and the CSS cascading style sheet, as the name suggests, it's for adding. If you want to add color to it, or if you want it's a styling guide for it's an instruction sheet of styles for your page. And I want to start with the title here. I'm using the H1. This will give you the biggest header on here. Now if you hit run, you can see it is on here. Alright, so by default it is using a serif font. So serif is a kind of font where you see all these extra lines on your text. If you want to change it, so there's two things that I think will be good to do here. I want to go into our style.css file. We'll select the H1 tag, and first thing would be good to do, because title, I like putting the titles in the center. Please use semicolons. Well, please enter instructions with semicolons. And also font family, we're looking for sans serif, so sans meaning without. Alright, now we hit that. You'll see that not only did it center, but also Also, remove those extra lines. If you like it, that's fine. Makes it look. I've seen, say, like professional papers use that kind of font. If you check out like IEEE or, um, yeah, check out any research paper or maybe your English teacher requires that font. If you wish to use a smaller header, you can. You get 1 through 6, 1 being the biggest and 6 being the smallest. So if you want this being really, the smallest, it will allow you. That happens. Alright, I want to bring it back to an H1. Already had it before. And also, just a side note, if you're changing this to a different selector, you'll need to change it here as well. So if you're using H6, you'll need to change it here too. Alright, and next thing that I think would be appropriate would be the ability to upload our files. So first thing that's the appropriate thing to do would be to provide an input. Inputs, I mean, yes, you can put it like this, I believe, but I like closing all of my tags. And doing this is the same as doing this, by the way. If you're curious, this is just a shorthand for it. I don't even think you need a space either, but it's a stylistic preference. Right, there we go. It looks like you can type in anything you want in here. However, we don't want text formats. Instead, we want it to be a file format. So to do that, we'll need to make this type equal to file, and now if you do that, just like that, you type in a few words, and it changes. All right. Now we choose the file. You might be able to see a pop-up come like that. All right. So this is the beginnings of the setup. The other thing that we would need to do would be a file parser. This will come this will come in a later video. If you do want me to press on with this and continue on with how to fill in the script, so just a bit of a heads up. That script that I've been going over in the past on what's going to be going in here, it's not going to look much different. So if you want to give that a shot, you're more than welcome to. Other than that, I will see you in the next video, and have a good one. I'm just going to take a liberty to press on, since looking back at what I just recorded, there was barely steps free to go from. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this button do something other than recognize that they simply uploaded a file. There are several steps to doing this, so bear with me the best as you can. If you get lost, as always, leave those comments. It's better to, even if your question feels silly, ask it anyways. It's better to get that addressed versus walking away still having that stuck in your head. So a few things we need to do. First, we need to assign this an ID. So an ID is a unique selector, or not a selector, but rather an identifier to an HTML element. So if I give this an ID of say file upload, you could call this anything. Um, none of these other file types, none of these other elements can have an ID of file upload. So this would not be, if I could spell. So this would not be allowed. If you need to access multiple elements at a time, that would be something called a class. So this is short for classification, I believe is what it stands for. But now if you do this, you can go ahead and do that, and now you can select several of these at once. We're not going to do that here. We're going to give this an ID. And now what we're going to do is we need to now we can access this ID, and the way we do this is now we need to call our script file. And this is possible because we're including it with the script tag here. Alright, so if you're starting with a blank file, make sure this is in here. So we're going to come in here, note that our ID is file upload, copy it to your clipboard if you have to, because I certainly won't remember that. And we're going to make a function. We can I recommend naming this something meaningful, although you can name it wherever you want, as always, with the exception of keywords that this interpreter looks for. We call this on file upload. And then for now, actually in the beginning you don't need to note it, but still have it saved onto your clipboard because we're going to use it. We're going to use it momentarily. But for now, just so that you know, or just so that we know that our button is doing something, print something in here. Alright. And then so that this can recognize something on file upload, we need an on change property, and we're going to set this to the file name or the function name on file upload. Alright, so this function, this line here, will call whatever this thing is doing in here. Let's get out a run just to make sure we can do something with this. I clicked on choose file. I know you're not seeing any kind of pop-ups on here. That's fine. Just make sure you upload a file on here. And now you can see I uploaded a file. Oops. And you see that it prints. That's good. Now we're going to start using this. So yes, I was doing some reading on Stack Overflow. They have tons of good answers on there, and I was looking up how do we do this, because as there's no way in my right mind I'm going to remember the process, since I don't do this on a regular basis. So first thing we need to do is we need to get whatever it was that was. We need to get the name of this file. The way we're going to do that, we're going to make something called, I'm going to make a variable to save this data in. And we're going to use get elements by ID. That is where your ID comes in. And I believe this the file input does give you the option to load multiple files at once. That's why it comes back as an array. But we want to get the first element. This is 0 indexed. So we want to get the 0th index. Don't use the first one. That would be undefined. First time programmers, this is confusing. If you're heard something out there. If you do this regularly, this is nothing new there. Now, next thing on our list is to create a file reader object. This comes within the API, I believe. And then we're going to make an event listener. We're going to add to its onload event listener. And so this event is going to be a function that's going to take in an event. And then we need to extract the contents from it. Okay, so this is the event parameter that we just passed in. This target is going to point to this piece here. It's going to point to our input tag because that's where the event came from. And then before we do anything else, I always like to print. I always like to print my data. Because if something on here doesn't work, always good to catch it early. Yeah, 9 lines of code is much easier to debug than if you wrote like say even say 50 for example, even though 50 isn't even a large size to begin with. All right, then we're gonna call file. So this onload is now attached to this object here. Read this as text because if you remember our OBJ file, you can open it in a notepad, and it is very readable. For a file to load, this is the file that we uploaded in here, and then the decoder or the encoder string. I forget what it's actually called, but the format is UTF-8. Most of our text files are in that format anyway, so if it doesn't look cryptic, it's UTF-8. That's how I see it. Now let's give it a try. So I hope you have an OBJ file that you have exported from either like say SolidWorks, Maya, Blender, whichever one you're using. I uploaded that, and look at this console here. This is data. Fantastic. Now we can actually, what this has allowed us to do is we now got confirmation that this is reading our file correctly, and now I am confident that, or more confident than before, that you have something to work with. So to get you set up on that, let's make another function. I'm going to call this OBJ parse. Alright, and this OBJ parse, we wanted to take in the data that we've loaded in. So let's just call it raw data. Call it raw data in case I want to use name data for something else. Alright, I want to split this on a new line. I think that's what each line is ending with. It's because some files are notorious for using a return rather than a new line, and they don't even show that in here. That's why I've been 50-50 on which one it is. And heck, some even use both. So we'll try them all until it works. Then we want to do. Okay, so this is vanilla JavaScript, so we can't use use a for of loop. We only have the keys to iterate on. That's fine. So we do for for row in data, and I'm gonna call it I, because this is it's really an index. It's not. We don't have any actual data just yet until we didn't get the row yet until we get to the line. Now we can do row is equal to data at I, and now we can do something with it. In case of any stray white spaces, this will remove any spaces in the beginning and in the end. And then now we can say if we don't even need the starts with, I don't think. At 0 is this means a comment. So if it starts with a hash symbol or a pound key, this is a comment, and therefore we want to do something about it. In this case, let's do row dot split. Let's split on a single space. Alright, so now we're splitting on each of these spaces. Yes, I said in the previous in like the first segment of this video that it should be a near copy and paste or something to that effect. This is what I'm talking about. We had like a for of loop here. I think I had a bunch of const and lets over here. If you want to run this in like Internet Explorer or something that doesn't support or ES6, which is most browsers, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be outdated over here. Yeah, I want to make this compatible for those stuck with something like Edge. If you want to debate about Internet Explorer, about browsers, I mean, feel free. I don't want to make space for that. There are plenty of spots where you can find debates on the best web browsers. Var label is equal to. Semantically, it's not correct. It's not equal to. We're making an assignment. Getting too far in the weeds here. All right, label is looking for 0 here. I want to get the rest now, do we? So it's possible that some of these have more than 3 in here, or a value other than 3. Okay, and some have more than one character here, so we can't. So it's not a good idea to do a bracket 0. Actually, we can. This piece is fine, but what we're going to do afterwards is. Alright, I have 2 back and forth on this. Let's press on with this. So if label hey, look, a comment. This is a vertex data. See, let's just worry about that for now. Vertex we're guaranteed 3, so let's do X is, oh yeah, yes, this plus symbol, dirty trick, converts a string into a number, to number format. So, because these are all like, these are still raw text, and we want to convert it into a number format. That's why I'm doing this. Labels at 1, 2, just like that. And now let's try printing this. So you want to use this. What are we doing here? Copy and paste exists. Alright, let's see how this goes. We'll put this up. Not a number. This is why we test. Because I did splitting and saved into row cells, in a label I just simply extracted the first one out of it, and therefore these values don't actually exist. If you caught that before I did, good for you. Alright, this is what we're actually looking for. So this is what we want to put in our final format here, or this is what we're trying to do. Alright, so what I'm going to say at this point, enjoy the data that you've gotten out. If you've gotten this far, great work. And if you ever get stuck on following the process, do let me know. And so in the description, here are 2 more things I'm going to put in there. Link to this project. Fork it first before making any changes before editing it. I've gotten 1 or 2 requests to get access to it. Make a fork of it first. That's this. Oh no, that's not that button. But yeah, make a copy of it first, and then you can make edits to it. If you just want to see what's going on here, 2 things that you'll need to do. This URL here, I'll make it available in the description as well. This is the executable version, the one that they put directly in your web browser and then do whatever you want with it. And I'm wondering if this will cache the recording. It does. Sweet. Right-click, inspect elements, or I believe you can do F12 to get it. I'm just going to do it here. And, whoa, what happened here? Right-click, inspect, and then look in the console. Right? Don't mind about this. And then upload your own OBJ file in here, and there you go. That console.log that they were using to print out your data, that's where it ends up. Right? And you can go 1 step further, and you can write some code in here. All right. You can do math, of course. All right. So leverage tools Let me know if you have any questions on whatever I just went over. Leave a timestamp if you need to, saying, "And you did this over here. I could not follow it. Did not make sense." Or if you want to say you made this move here, it could have been done better this way. I'm all ears. So hope you found it. Hope you were able to get something useful out of this. If you did, please consider leaving a like. If not, leave a comment on what could have been done better. All right. So thank you for sitting through the entire video and following along if you made this far. And sincerely hope you have a nice day.